It is easy. So I'm learning as you live in your car, live in your Jeep, whatever you're living in, you have to winterize it as you would if you're in a camper. Because if you don't, make sure you check at least once a week. You can get mold. I never hear anybody talk about mold. Well, I'm at my nephew's house, 40 minutes from Mount Rainier. You can see it right there. It looks like, that's so cool. It looks like the blue parts are clouds, but that's Mount Rainier. And I'm like 40 minutes away from it. So I've been sitting here in this shed, this open face shed. See how open face that is? I've been blessed to be able to stay here for the winter with free electricity. And I got mold in my car. And I realized when you move around, like most van lifers, they'll move around a lot and travel a lot. If you do that, your car takes care of the mold because you're constantly using your heat. And your heating system in your car has a natural ability to clean out whatever is in your car that's bad. Like if you have moisture, your car is cleaning it out as you run the air conditioner or as you run the heater. It's cleaning out that mold. It's drying out the floor. It's doing all this stuff as you driving in it. But when you're sitting still constantly for months on end, like I have, I mean, I go hiking and I go camping in places. I don't just stay here. I also go camping, but I more so sit more than I have been. And moisture builds up in your car or your rig or whatever you're in. It builds up and it can cause mold. So now I'm having to weekly check my car to make sure there's no mold. I actually got sick from it. Didn't realize that's why I was sick. And it was on the edges of my car, on the edge, like edges, like right here. I already got this stuff pulled out. So it was right here, the edges, all the edges. And what I'm thinking is because of this plastic here, water runs down and stops at the edge and builds up mold and traps moisture. So that's baking soda that you just seen. I'm having to put baking soda. Vinegar is wonderful. I use vinegar and water, more so vinegar. But I've had to daily wipe my car down, weekly check it to make sure there's no mold, run it, make sure I run my car, even if I'm just going to the store or something, run my car, make sure there's nothing damaging it because mold is no joke. I even had mold built up in my tailgate, this thing right here. So make sure you check the stuff that you don't have on it, make sure you check it because this builds up, them little end crevices right here, they build up mold, traps moisture, and wherever moisture gets trapped and it can't get out, it will cause mold damage. So I have towels like this and I've been wiping down my car every morning when I get up. I have to wipe. This is extremely wet. I don't know what the deal with that is. My seal on my Jeep, I don't know what's going on because the seal is pretty decent. This is the seal. It's not torn, but yet the water or something is going down into my, I don't know, this right here. And I have heat in my car. I have heating pads. So the constant heating and moisture, heating and cooling is killing me. It's really a headache. I'm really having to dig deep. And the more crap you got in here, that's why I won't do a build. I won't do a build because a car is not made to sleep in. Although you can create something, doesn't mean it's meant for that purpose. So I won't do a build because when you get mold, you have to tear your whole build up. You'll have to tear all that out and then rebuild it back. I'm just not into that. I can't do that because even doing this without a build is a headache. Can you imagine tearing down and breaking down? And if you don't get every spot of mold that you see it continues to grow. So I want a bed system, like a cot maybe, so I can put stuff under it. But as far as building, I won't do it because it's just too much of a mold risk. Because cars are not made to live out of, even though we're living out of them. They're not created for that purpose. And so you can stick all kinds of crap in there, but your car is still going to build up moisture because you don't have anything to reduce the moisture. You know what I'm saying? So even in RVs get mold. They'll tell you they get mold. Nobody talks about this though. Everybody just drive around their car getting sick, not knowing why they're sick. They're constantly getting sinus issues. Check your car for mold, man. It's important to always detail your car. Don't just be satisfied with the build. Always look for mold. I would do it, especially in the wintertime. I would do it if you're moving a lot. You don't need to do it once a week. But if you're not moving a lot and you're sitting still and the moisture builds up, if it's building up on your windows, 9 times out of 10, it's building up also in your vehicle. It's building up, and you need to wipe it down. And I would advise to wipe it down with vinegar. I have vinegar. It's 50% vinegar and 50% water, but I do more because this mold is no joke. I get a spray bottle and I spray my floors. It's not on my carpet, I guess, because of the carpet I got laid. It's keeping the cool down, but I still feel the cool rising. But in the edges of your car, I mean, if you got moisture buildup here, I mean, this is here at my tailgate. And all these little holes, this is breathing, but yet mold still built it up. It still came in there. So I am a fanatic now. I don't want to be sick, and I want my car ruined. So I'm always doing a mold detail because, like I said, cars are not meant to live out of, and it can destroy everything you have. The spores will disperse and destroy your vehicle, and then you can't even live out of it. So I advise you to do details to your car, to your vehicle. Don't just not wipe it down. Get some vinegar, keep it down, wipe down, watch it, because that ain't no joke. That mold don't be playing. And I even spray my wood down because, you know, I have a self-build, as you can see, but my power station is huge. And, but yeah, make sure you watch the mold because it is no joke. It will hurt you. The moisture it's so cold, and it's so cold that cold turns to wet. And then if it's not being dried, there's damage, you know. I didn't think about doing that. So make sure you do your patrol on your builds. Make sure that you're watching what's happening. Vacuum your car out regularly. Check your car for mold. That's my advice. You want some advice? You're doing all that traveling. Make sure you check your car for mold constantly, because when you're in a cold environment and then you set heat, even using a heating blanket with extreme cold, it turns to water. You just gotta do regular maintenance on your mold buildup. It's vital to when you're living out of your car to do mold. That's why I don't have water in my car. I have a fridge. I don't have water because I don't have time to be stuff to spill and then it gets in the car. I don't have time for that mess. I will not have a water system in my car ever because I don't have time to play around with water. Once water gets in and you don't get it all out, it can turn to mold, man. It can mess you up. Mold will kill you if you're not mindful and watching. So I've been doing regular checkups on my vehicle to make sure there's no mold. I am not finna be dying over this. So here I am again. I've been actually doing it more. Probably when it rains here, I wait till it's not raining and I'll do it again just to check and be sure, because it was no joke. It had a lot of mold. It had mold on the edges and in my front floorboard. If I get mold in my front floorboard because wherever there's moisture, it's possible you can get mold. And if your windows are leaking, it's going to cause mold. And believe it or not, also these. I got these here because I don't want nobody looking in, but these right here are bad. They build up moisture on your windows, causing the water to leak down into your floorboards, and then it can cause mold leaking down into your system, whatever you have. It causes more moisture. I didn't know that. But I was researching, trying to figure out why and what to do. And it was saying that these, and they actually do, because when I've tried it, I put them on my front window, and it was so much moisture behind my window trapped. So just imagine that trapped on your floor or in your front floor. Check your floorboards where your mats are. Constantly check them to make sure you're not covering up water, because eventually it'll turn to mold. But I had mold. I had mold here. I had mold here and on this. I had mold. I picked this up. I had mold on the edges, and it just shows me that water is leaking and it's getting onto the edges. But once it gets to the edges, it disperses. It starts spreading, and you don't want that. So I just been cleaning everything. I had mold. I was like, heck no, you got to go. You ain't finna run me out my car. So I've been cleaning and spraying. And I'm now that I know that, I do it's called winterizing your car. Checking your car. That's winterizing to me for a car. It's very important to check your floorboards and what you have covered up. If there's nothing to keep it from getting cold, so cold that it gets wet, chances are you can get mold. You can get mold into your system, man. Just be careful. Check that mold. Check it. Check it. I don't know what that is. But check your car. Make sure you ain't got no mold build up.